Everyone mentioned today is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, and everything I discuss here is theory until proven fact, even if it is.
Never break, always fight, never quit, do it right, play the game, win it life, have no shame, there's no time, feel the pain, live the grind, I could change, in my mind, pick a lane, commit and climb, the only way to win it life, I never miss, that's fact, taking big swings, bitch, hand me the bat, put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag, cause I sing what I mean, and I bring it to the mad light, ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel, I took the red pill, I know life's short, so I wanna live real, but how's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel? They wanna say my name, but they holding back. They wanna say they hate, but they know it's cap. I ain't play no games, I just do that's fact. And I don't feel no shame, it's a mood you lack. I go crazy, nah bitch I ain't lazy. Track after track, I work on the shit daily. Pass me the jack, right as fuel, got me hazy. About to unpack all these things I've been chasing. I've got visions in my head, like memories after death. To be a legend instead of something you can forget. I'm living up every breath, I'd rather lead than be led. I'll fill the seats as I spread with every word that I've said. How's it supposed to feel? How's it supposed to feel?
Hey guys, how you going? Okay, we got Shannon. Shannon was first. Alex, how you going, Alex? Good to see you guys. Who else we got? We got Deb, Jason, Kai. Who else? We got Zena, how you going? J1, how you going? Oh, God love you. Yeah, Alex, I hope you feel better soon. This is going to be the last live for a little while, okay? I'll be back, but until I am, this is going to be the last live for a little while. So I've got to move, so it's going to take time to, I've got to sell my desk and everything. I've got to sell everything, so, okay. Anyway, let's get on with it. Chicago One Rose said, boom, the Texas House just passed its new redistricting map, adding 5 new seats for the GOP. Hit that like button if you appreciate the courage by Governor Abbott and getting it done. Let's have a quick look.
The bill. Breaking tonight, Texas Republican legislators have just won their fight over redistricting. Just moments ago, the state House vote is now final. The bill aims to provide 5 additional congressional seats for the GOP. The bill.
There you go. Okay, Libs of TikTok said, holy crap, the illegal alien truck driver who killed 3 people failed an English language assessment, getting only 2 out of 12 answers right and identifying only 1 out of 4 highway traffic signs. It was also discovered that WA and CA issued Singh a commercial driver's licence despite not being eligible for it. Authorities in New Mexico also failed to issue ELP tests when Singh was stopped there for speeding. Holy cow. So California, that would be under Gavin Newsom, is it? Hey, Dealey, how you going? Good to see ya. Okay, Wes Harmon said from the Reddit Truckers group, an account of yet another trucker taking US 129, the tail of the dragon, with a 53-foot trailer. 53 foot, yeah, despite repeated warnings in English for truckers to avoid this route. You'll never guess what sort of footwear he had on. I'm thinking sandals, thongs. I don't know. Yeah, you need to start holding trucking companies responsible. But also the government who's making the rules. I have a feeling that the person is wearing sandals or something. Or maybe thongs, flip-flops, you know, not like the thongs in America. Not those, not the underwear. Okay, anyway, who knows? Very dangerous, mate. Okay, the British Patriot. Breaking, Patriots are out in force tonight outside Canary Wharf Migrant Hotel, painting road crossings and reinstalling flags as far as the eye can see. The British have had enough. And apparently, because the council, they won't fix potholes, but they're coming to fix these things, right? And rainbow crossings are all right, and, you know, but not this, okay? But now people are starting to put the flag, paint the flag in potholes, hoping that the roads will be fixed, which is interesting. Thanks, Shannon. Based Bandita said Gavin Newsom, Donald Trump's going to put ice outside voting booths and polling places, and that's not fair to the illegal immigrant community. Wait, why would illegal immigrants be in voting booths? Did he just out himself? I think Gavin Newsom's going to be in big trouble shortly. Matt Walsh said people are blaming this CEO for the change, and rightfully so, but she didn't come up with this awful idea. She hired a bunch of marketing agencies to freshen up the brand or whatever. And that's just more evidence that the entire marketing industry is a complete fake. It's a $500 billion racket in the US, and it's exclusively run by people who have no idea how to market or brand anything. The industry basically exists to give high-paying jobs to talentless women. Colin Rugg said new. Cracker Barrel reveals their new logo. CEO Julie Fells Messino says people love their new rebrand. Is this the old one? Because that's I'd rather that one. Honestly, the feedback's been overwhelmingly positive that people like what we're doing, Messino told Good Morning America while discussing the overall rebrand. The logo is depressing. Yeah, look, can we stop giving stupid women jobs? Not all women are stupid, I'm not saying all, but these ones are. Seriously. Oh my goodness. Okay, Che Bao said von der Leyen was apparently asked to leave the room as President Trump only wanted to talk to leaders. Look at her face, utterly humiliated. Apparently they're relying on Reuters and Euronews to say that never happened. There's no reliable source to support this claim. Well, I wouldn't call Reuters or Euronews reliable. Anyway, Melinda Richards said, no, people, you got it all wrong. It wasn't the rabbit and continuous printing of money in 2020 for 2 years that caused inflation, or zero productivity that has never recovered and mismanaged. It was the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Listen to this bullshit.
Russian invasion was one of the major factors behind the inflation spike that we saw. So it had an impact on supermarket shelves right around the world.
He thinks you're stupid, that you're going to believe this bullshit. Do you know they do this every time there is a war? The price of something goes up and they say, oh no, it's because of the war. It has absolutely nothing to do with us. I'm sick of it. Rod D. Martin said Elon shelves the America Party. After floating a new America Party, Musk has quietly paused the plan, choosing MAGA Unity and JD Vance over a third-party gamble. Here's what really happened and what it means for 2026 and 2028. Just weeks ago, Musk announced the America Party to represent the 80% in the middle. Unscientific polls on X showed big support. Musk even declared, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. The inner media called it a direct challenge to Trump. But almost immediately, the problems became clear. Third parties almost always fail. They siphon votes from the GOP, handing power to the left. Musk's ties with MAGA allies were at risk. Unforeseen legal hurdles. The biggest risk, well, I'd say, wasn't he born in South Africa? Isn't that one of the risks? Hurting VP JD Vance in 2028. According to insiders, Musk told associates he won't risk breaking with Vance, the man widely seen as the heir apparent to the MAGA movement. The two are friends and Musk believes in him. Remember, Musk didn't just flirt with politics. He spent nearly $300 million backing Trump and other GOP candidates in 2024. He worked directly with the Trump White House on cutting government waste. He's highly invested in MAGA's success. Yes, Musk and Trump fought this summer over the big beautiful bill, which Musk blasted as a disgusting abomination. But the feud has cooled, and Trump says he wants Musk's business to thrive like never before. For Musk's part, the billionaire inventor just gave up $5 million to Trump's super PAC and another $10 million to the GOP. So perhaps the band is getting back together. So for now, no new party, business first, MAGA alliance intact, but Musk still has billions in firepower and his options open. MAGA should do everything it can to welcome him back into the fold, plus Elon Musk needs to make up with Trump for little X. Aww. And if you enjoyed this, you can follow Rod D. Martin on X. And I don't know if anyone has seen the latest craze going around of Kendra falling in love with her psychiatrist. Some lady's been driven absolutely nuts by AI. And she's in deep delusions that her psychiatrist and her have some kind of relationships. I don't know. You got to watch it. You got to see it. Oh, my God. Anywho, Libs at TikTok said, oh my God, Josima Cabrera claims that his missing wife, Shayla Gutierrez, was detained by ICE. However, surveillance footage of Josima's home shows him dragging around a body-sized bag. Police later found his wife's body in the woods. Josima has since fled the country to Peru, where he was detained by local authorities. He's now in the process of being extradited to the US for prosecution. Wow. Don't know who he is, but anyway. He claimed that his wife was detained by ICE. However, it looks like he might have done away with her. Is there any more to this? Welcome to California, where you can murder your wife, blame ICE, and get the Democrats to cry on TV for you. Oh, okay. Have they been crying on TV for him? I've never seen a country work so hard to get rid of a president, but not illegal immigrants, drug dealers, or child traffickers. Leave him in custody in Peru, you morons. The fucking Dems will turn him loose. Sorry, I got to like that one too. Anyway, okay, wow. Sky News Australia, CEO of Australian mining giant, has met with Donald Trump face-to-face, something Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has yet to achieve. The BHP chief beats Albanese to securing a Trump meeting. I think some of our other politicians have too. Eric Doherty said breaking JD Vance reveals how President Trump called Putin at 1 a.m. after the European leader meeting, shocking all the leaders in the room who thought Trump meant he'd call Putin next week, not that same night. It was like 1 a.m. Moscow time, and they had no anticipation. I'm going to let him say it, for God's sake.
It was like 1 a.m. Moscow time, and they had no anticipation. So we're actually in the east wing of the White House, and the president says, you know, we've had a pretty good meeting. I'm going to go call Vladimir Putin and see what he says about it. And everybody's like, oh, you're going to call him next week? And he's like, no, what time is it in Moscow? Let's call him right now. And I think one of the things I've realized about President Trump's leadership is he cuts through the BS of some of these diplomatic protocols and just says, I'm going to get things done. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm going to talk to somebody. You had a lot of the Europeans who were saying, no, there needs to be proper, vetting, and the teams have to prepare the phone call and blah, 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 blah. And the president was like, no. I want to talk to the guy. I'm going to talk to the guy. And I think that kind of no holds barred, no BS diplomacy is part of the reason why we've made the progress we have. And we've made a lot of progress, Laura. Look, who knows what's going to happen? The president tells me this all the time. You can never say with certainty what the outcome in this situation is going to be. But we now have the Russians talking to the Ukrainians. They're talking details about what would be necessary on each side to stop the fighting and stop the killing. We've made more progress in 3 months than the country had made in 3 years in stopping this conflict. And I think it's because sometimes you just need a president who will pick up the phone and call somebody.
Shannon,
it was like 1 a.m. Moscow time, and they had...
It wasn't Alexa. It was ChatGPT that drove her nuts, that lady. I'll show you at the end, after we finish the news. Conspiracy bot said for thousands of years, people have known how to grow food, sew clothing, treat sickness with food and herbs, build shelter and survive. It only took 2 generations to erase those skills from humanity and make us completely dependent on and at the mercy of the system. These are things that I think everyone should know how to do. Grow food, sew clothing, treat sickness with food and herbs, build shelters and survive. I know how to sew. I know how to knit. I know how to cook. I know how to grow food, although my soil is not good where I am, but, it's sand more than anything else where I am. But I'll be moving shortly, so no more complaining. George Axopoulos said, rather than simply repost my cartoon from 2 days ago, this loser fed my work in AI, traced over it and claims he made it. Political cartooning is an American tradition popularised by Thomas Nass during the Civil War. Some, like myself, are still trying to keep it alive. There isn't much money in it, but we do it out of passion. While it was hard enough to battle against woke tards, cancellation, demonetisation, suspensions only a couple of years ago, it's far more difficult when monetised, bottom-feeding foreigners refuse to interact with our work like human beings. I'm sincerely doing my best to earn a living at this. Meanwhile, this is straight up asshole behaviour. And Ian Miles Chong posted this after feeding it into AI after this guy did his cartoon 2 days ago. 47 minutes ago. This guy's shown himself to be who he is. Disgusting. Okay, Base Bandita said this woman was fired from a job at a homeless agency because she was also running 2 homeless consulting firms and sending government money to her own firms. Luckily for her, she landed a government job paying over $250,000 a year for the LA Homeless Service Authority, which just got in trouble for failing an audit in which a contractor was stealing tax money, who also happens to be her business partner. What is happening in California? Why isn't the federal government shutting all this down? I've got a feeling they're about to. And honestly, when I first read this, I could have assumed that this was in Australia, the UK, until I read LA Homeless Service Authority. Could be any one of our countries because they all do the same shit. Craig Kelly, here in Australia, said Australia, UK and Canada have all fallen to the woke agenda, which is destroying society. Tyranny during COVID, the net zero scam, excessive migration, promotion of transgenderism to children, and attacks on freedom of speech. Concerned citizens said the UK, Canada and Australia sit across 3 continents, but one alarming truth connects them all. They're all collapsing in exactly the same way. This isn't just failure or bad luck, it's called managed decline. Yep. We're all sinking into the cesspit of hell here. And everyone's going to be looking at America and going, we want some of that. We want what they're doing. We'll have whatever they're having. Shallow Chow said Nazis everywhere. There's a reason the house is burning. It's not just the economy. It's not immigration. It's not even the left. It's the polite, respectable cowardice of an entire political class who let it happen and called it progress. While conservatives were told not to fight the culture wars, the left was already deep behind enemy lines. They took the schools, the universities, the media, the law, the corporations, and the people who noticed were mocked as hysterical. The Liberal Party became embarrassed by its own name. Rather than defend anything resembling traditional national identity, it ran scared into the arms of inner-city virtue voters, offering the country a watered-down version of Labor and calling it responsible governance. This is here in Australia. They merged in spirit and in policy. One side flew rainbow flags, the other handed them the pole. Now we live under a uni party with 2 marketing departments. For 30 years, Australians watched politely while radical ideologies rampaged through their institutions, while free speech became hate speech, while citizenship became optional, while race, gender and climate became the new religion, all enforced by law, all wrapped in compassion. Not many stood up when our flag was burnt, not when our kids were taught they were oppressors because of their skin colour, and certainly not when lockdowns turned Melbourne into a test lab for soft totalitarianism. Hey, I was here. Melbourne is lost. It's no longer an Australian city. It's a UN outpost with traffic cameras and police drones. A place where you can be arrested for posting about a protest and charged for standing in a park. A place where soy lattes replaced courage. Where apathy became a civic virtue. Where no one noticed the culture disappearing because they were too busy scanning QR codes and apologising for colonialism. The next generation is growing up with no anchor, no ownership and no memory of what Australia used to be. They've been told that tradition is dangerous, that masculinity is toxic, that freedom is selfish, and that success is privilege. They believe it because no one told them otherwise. Because the people who should have stood up stayed silent. Because the people who should have led were too busy managing their brand. Now the only ones speaking directly to them are anonymous influencers with nothing to lose and nothing to censor them. All those messages are getting darker. The youth doesn't trust the system. They don't believe in media. They know the political class works for someone else, and they're looking for something real, even if it's dangerous. Call them Nazis and they'll tell you you're a moron. But here come the leftards shouting Nazi at anyone who questions it. Calling us Nazis makes you look stupid. It makes you look like someone who hasn't read a book since high school and couldn't explain the difference between fascism and federalism if your life depended on it. You throw around that word because your ideas can't survive in an open debate. You call people Nazis because you run out of arguments 10 years ago. And now no one hears you. Even when the real ones crawl out of the internet shadows, that's on you. You made that happen. This is what happens when a society pretends it can outsource its soul, when it stops defending its values, when it tries to replace heritage with bureaucracy, and when it turns its back on the culture that built it. The protest on August 31st isn't the answer. It's a warning shot. It's a flare into the night sky. It's a line in the sand from the Australians who still remember what this place was and refuse to be shamed into silence. You don't get to call yourself a democracy if only one side is allowed to speak. You don't get to lecture about values while importing entire belief systems that reject yours. And you don't get to demand respect for a nation while dismantling everything that made it worth respecting. August 31st, we stand. Every conspiracy theorist, I fucking told you so. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I was here for most of it, or just because I've had a couple of channels deleted, but I was here speaking up. Yep. You guys were all here. Sorry, I saw... Sorry, I was reading the comments for a sec there. Table Salt said, major breaking. Trump administration sanctions Canadian Judge Kimberly Prost for her ruling at the International Criminal Court to investigate US personnel in Afghanistan. Good, hold her accountable. He's sanctioning Canadian Judge Kimberly Post. I just wanted to read this. I don't particularly like this person because they flip and flop all over the place, but the communists and socialists have used Aboriginals and Palestine as a crutch to bolster their own agenda. If only we knew where communism came from. Forwarded from Joel Davis. I'm hearing reports from multiple contacts inside the pro-Palestine movement that there's been massive infighting between the actual Palestinians, Arabs and the commies over August 31st. The commies obviously want to mobilise the pro-Palestinian protesters to rally against August 31st patriots, but the Arabs don't want to create Aussies versus Palestinians dynamic because it would be horrific optics for them. Despite being told not to, the commies have pressed on with trying to lump the pro-Palestinian cause in with their counter-protest in Melbourne, and it's causing massive internal drama. The commies are showing they don't really give a shit about Palestine. They're just using the issue as an instrument for their own ends. So I encourage the pro-Palestine movement to make their neutrality on patriot communist dispute clear. We are not on the side of Israel. Stay out of our way and we'll stay out of yours. Wake up and realise these commies aren't your friends. There you go. If I could like that post, I would. Cam Higby said, I just left the Gaza Strip. I was in one singular lot that contained enough aid to feed every Gazan for days. Look at the pallets behind me. You're being lied to. Look, don't believe anything about anything, okay? Unless you're there yourself, don't believe it. Drew Pavlou said, Pavlou, I don't know how to say that. But anyway, the ABC confirmed the guy waving the ISIS flag in this photo from the Sydney Harbour Bridge rally was in fact a convicted ISIS youth recruiter named Youssef Youiniat. Can I just say you idiot? So the Sydney Harbour Bridge Gaza rally included actual ISIS recruiters. Preacher Wissam Haddad and Islamic State terrorist Youssef, you idiot, are targeting the pro-Palestinian movement for recruits. There you go. Fletch 17 said first Adam Schiff, now the Federal Reserve, Governor Lisa Cook. Does anyone else think this mortgage fraud is something else? I think people are about to be. How many mortgages has Biden taken out on his Delaware home? Where do you get the money to pay them off? Bingo. Might be showing us that all of central banking is one big self-serving parasitic cartel. Rob Smith said housing's a guillotine waiting to drop here in Australia, and when it does, it'll obliterate banks and the Australian dollar in a fiery wreck. No soft landing, just a bloodbath. Commercial real estate's already dead. WFH and 4-day-a-week work week delusions will bury it deeper. Businesses are being strangled by obscene land, labour and energy costs, all courtesy of the government morons pouring petrol on a housing apocalypse. Albanese, hang your head in total shame. If you had a slither of decency, you would resign today. What are our chances? I don't like the look of our chances. But anyway. The Patriot Oasis said Texas just fired Rep Jasmine Crockett. It's about time. She's another one siphoning money out. Uncommon Sense said, why do the Jews hate Putin? Why does the mass media spend so much time trying to rile up the masses to go to war with him? Why does Mark Levin, Brian Krasenstein and Ben Shapiro do everything they can to tell us opposing Putin is in our best interest? I'll tell you why. Let's have a read. I don't know about this, but take it all with a grain of salt. First, we must go back and see the roots of what led to Putin's rise to power. Remember the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991? The process of liberation and turning Russia's communist economy into a capitalist economy was left up to the planted Jewish puppet Boris Yeltsin. As you can see, he was president from 1991 to 1999. Here is one Jewish puppet beside another, Yeltsin Clinton. You can see how they were working together for the New World Order for the West. Discussions of economic prosperity for Russia, American investment, nuclear arms deal, expansion of NATO. Many may not remember, but when Bill Clinton was not sleeping with a Mossad spy, Monica Lewinsky, he was very much serving Jewish foreign policy with his overrepresented Jewish leadership in that area. Madeleine Albright, Sandy Berger, William Cohen and Victoria Nuland, etc. Well, what's the problem? Didn't the Russian people love NATO expansion, economic liberalism and denuclearisation? As usual, the United States sells liberalism, but what they mean is economic exploitation by Jewish capitalists. And Russia was no different. It didn't take long for the semi-bank Karishna, 7 bankers to own a majority of the assets, and they exploited the Russian people accordingly. And yes, most of them were Jews. This led into a Russian financial crisis and ultimately paved the way for a more nationalistic leader to come in. The people were aware of who their exploiters were. They also saw how chummy Yeltsin was with these Jewish oligarchs. Yeltsin was nervous he would be killed during the political unrest, so he needed a strong leader to take over for him that would also agree to pardon him. That politically savvy and strong leader was Vladimir Putin. One of the first things Putin did as president was meet with 20 or so of the rich men in Russia, predominantly Jewish oligarchs. He told them flat out the days of exploitation are done. They could still be rich, but they would have to stay out of his way and the people would be served first. Now these Jewish billionaires did not take that too kindly, but they shortly found out that Putin was not someone they could simply buy with money or blackmail with Jeffrey Epstein schemes. Putin started dismantling these Jewish oligarchs from power one by one. Vladimir Gazinsky, Mikhail Khodorkovsky, Boris Berezovsky, and Mikhail Prokhorov. Okay. This isn't to say he randomly singled out Jewish oligarchs. There's still Russian Jewish oligarchs today, but they respect the power that Putin holds. He only went after the ones that were undermining him in Russia, and in doing so, he was able to return some assets to the state and take control of some of the media companies. Now, some of you are thinking, well, those are dictatorial actions and he should allow those oligarchs to exploit the people, since you know that's what democracy works. That's how democracy works? Anyway, I don't know. But you still believe that democracy is rule of the people. It is not. Our modern-day democracies are ruled by media bosses with a mixture of lobbyists during the political process. Rule of money, rather. As such, the interests of a nation are ground down and the nation is run by oligarchs, or in the case of the United States, we call them Jewish billionaires. In 2007, Putin lays out his criticism of NGOs, the US, abuse of power and continued military intervention, the need to refrain from NATO expansion and call for a multipolar world. Effectively, after turning Russia around, he told the Jewish-led West he was not going to be pushed around. He also opposed their Talmudic New World Order goal, and he has been correct about the detrimental effects of foreign intervention that the US continues to engage in at the behest of Jews. And then, from then on, our Jewish media bosses, State Department and warlords had it out for Putin, and they've been trying to overthrow him ever since. In 2008, Jewish puppets John McCain, funded by the Bronfman family, and Barack Obama both have the same foreign policy and talking points when it comes to dealing with Putin. He's a dictator and the West needs to stand up to him. Meanwhile, they slyly discuss how more Eastern European nations need to come under NATO, world Jewish control, and no-go for nationalists like Putin. In 2012, when Hillary Clinton and our State Department was lying to our faces about what Assad was doing and why, Putin and Russia were backing Assad, saying that if Assad fell, Syria could fall into perpetual civil war, and that they didn't believe the reports of Assad using chemical weapons. I remember that, and I was on Assad's side and Russia's side on that one. Fast forward to now, where Syria's a mess. The only country that benefited from Assad's fall was Israel. Now it's easy to see why Jews in our government want to get rid of Putin. In 2014, the US State Department, led by Jews like Victoria Nuland, staged a coup against the duly elected president, Viktor Yanukovych. What was Yanukovych's crime? He was too pro-Russian and not necessarily going to push the boundaries for NATO expansion. So you can see the international Jews went to work with George Soros funding dissidents, the Jewish American media machine saying Yankovic was not elected properly, and Jewish State Department Rep Victoria Nuland even handing out cookies to Ukrainian dissidents. This led to Putin invading and annexing the Crimea. Remember the Russian collusion hoax of 2017? Did you know that research was funded by a Jew named Paul Singer? Obviously Trump was acquitted, but the intended effect was missed by many. God,
Shannon tipped $1. All hail Alex.
All hail Alex. God love you, Shannon. Oh, you legend. Obviously Trump was acquitted, but the intended effect was missed by many. It was to be associated with Russia is a crime. Remember that Trump ran on warming relationships with the Russians? Well, that was pretty much iced by this fake scandal, and so it worked. Then we have the second impeachment hoax, also involving Ukraine-Russia, but what was the crux of the matter? That Trump was going to withhold weapons from Ukraine, a no-no for our Jewish oligarchs. Thus, this scandal provided the same effect yet again. Trump affirms his support of Ukraine and distances himself from Russia. And everyone's afraid to tell the truth about Russia, or they'll be labelled a foreign agent because Ukraine is our potential NATO ally. Not actually a NATO ally, just a potential one, which shouldn't be anyway. Well, it's not our ally. It's a manufactured state created by NATO and currently run by cokehead Jew Zelensky. Did you also know that the guy that leaked the scandalous phone call for Trump's second impeachment was also Jewish? What are the odds? Never forget how Zelensky came to power in Ukraine, who funded his rise. Before he was killed in Ukraine, American journalist Gonzalo Lira laid out exactly how Zelensky was manufactured and funded by Israeli Jewish billionaire Kolomoisky. And that same billionaire, Kolomoisky, was the Jew who had controlling interest in Burisma, the gas company that was paying Hunter Biden $50,000 a month. Oh, a tangled web the Jews weave to blackmail and buy influence. After the Jews had their Zelensky puppet installed and their Jewish Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, they finally pushed Putin to breaking point. He then invaded Ukraine in 2022, and the lying Jewish control mass media told us Putin is crazy and is slaughtering Slavs, but he's not. He's been very strategic in trying to limit loss of life, and our lying media leaves out the fact that this was totally a Jewish-provoked war for NATO power expansion. They also always leave out the fact that the Jews in the US State Department, one and the same, overthrew the Ukrainian regime in 2014, with the help of the CIA, I believe. And if Putin is such an oppressive, awful leader like our Jewish media tells us, then why is Russia still allowed to be Russian? Putin has outlawed gay marriage, transgender madness, and no one's going to jail for being proud to be a white Russian. In other words, Putin has shielded his people from the pernicious Jewish influence that's destroying the West right now. Under Putin, the Russian economy has done quite well from where it was in 1999. Also, the debt situation, natural resource situation in Russia is great. Further, the Russian Orthodox Church has done exceptionally well under Putin's leadership. Meanwhile, many brainwashed Christians in the West are serving Jews for the expansion of Israel while our nation fails. Putin even allowed for Edward Snowden to seek asylum in Russia and has protected him against our bloodthirsty government and its Jewish controllers. Is Putin an out-and-out anti-Semite? No, he is not. He even has Jewish friends and the like, but clearly he's a nationalist and he's opposed to the Jewish New World Order, like everybody should be. It's not every Jewish person. I'm not talking about all the Jewish people. I'm talking about these ones, okay? While I think they are Jewish in name only, those who call themselves Jews but are not. While he may not name them explicitly, he names them implicitly, like in these two clips where he describes the American media propaganda machine, the bankers, who really blew up Nord Stream. So the Jews in the West will continue to do what they can to pray for Putin's death, as Krasenstein says below. But America should see through the propaganda. We need a leader very much like Putin if we are ever to overcome our Jewish overlords. If not, we will continue to see non-white immigration, transgender lunacy and wars in the Middle East and Ukraine for Israel. If you enjoyed this thread, consider subscribing to Uncommon Sense. Okay? Now, to address, Trump is not, like he's pro-Jewish, but he's not bending over for them. Israel last. Remember? Okay, Vigilant Fox said show of force. From the heart of Washington, D.C., the Trump administration just drew a line in the sand. Vance, Hegseth and Stephen Miller stood with the National Guard at Union Station warning the lawless mobs, your time is up. Then Miller sealed it with a historic final vow. What happened? Where'd the rest of it go? Hang on. Here we go. I just needed to click on it. Sorry, I need a sip of my tea just to... Okay. The days of anarchy in the Capitol are over. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of Defence Pete Hegseth and Deputy Chief for Policy Stephen Miller were on the ground today at Union Station in Washington, D.C., standing shoulder to shoulder with National Guard troops. The message from the Trump administration couldn't have been clearer. We've got your back. They were seen shaking hands and chatting with men and women working to keep the streets safe. But if you listen closely, you could hear the high-pitched wails of leftist protesters trying to drown it out. Let's have a listen. Ah, yes, I hear them slightly in the background there. As the press gathered, Vance stepped up to the mic to set the record straight. He made it known that this visit was about showing gratitude to those protecting the city. First of all, we want to come and say thank you to the National Guard folks, to the cops for actually keeping this place safe. As far as their impact on the crime in DC, the numbers speak for themselves. If you look at what's happened in Washington, DC, in just the past 9 days, we've seen a 35% reduction in violent crime. We've seen over a 50% reduction in robberies. We're seeing really substantial effects because these guys are busting their asses. He said it was also about showing the country that things can change when leaders step up. So I want to come here to highlight what they're doing. Say thank you in person, but most of all, just send a message to the American people. Look, we don't have to live like this. We do not have to allow our cities, to be taken over by violence and disorder and by chaos. You can actually do stuff. You can actually bring law and order to communities. We've just got to have the political willpower to do it. Then Vance addressed the screeching leftists in the background. And I think you hear these guys outside. They're screaming at us, of course. These are a bunch of crazy protesters. He shared a personal story recalling a trip to Union Station with his children just a couple of years ago. Violent vagrants were yelling at them and it frightened his kids. That moment stuck with him. But I'll tell you, a couple of years ago when I brought my kids here, they were being screamed at by violent vagrants and it was scaring the hell out of my kids. Now he said that's a different story. In just 9 days, Union Station has become a place where families can walk safely again. And none of the things that we've done already in Union Station in just 9 days is we've made it a place where people can walk around safely. They can bring their kids again. Vance says he wants the American citizens to be able to enjoy the great American cities, and that starts with the capital. Next up was Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. From the DoD's perspective, this mission was about restoring a sense of pride and safety in the capital. The American people, the residents of DC, deserve a safe and beautiful city. That's our mission. That's what every one of these captains, lieutenants, staff sergeants, specialists, privates, they're all here because they're patriots who serve the country and believe we deserve a beautiful, safe capital. He explained that his troops are honoured to be part of this historic mission to clean up crime in the capital. They're proud of his mission. They're proud to be part of making sure law and order is established here in the capital. This operation in DC is not an outlier. It was part of a broader effort to protect America and its citizens, alongside similar operations on the southern border and in Los Angeles. Putting American citizens in our country first, something President Trump has emphasised from the beginning. It was finally happening. That's when Stephen Miller grabbed the mic and said he was not as soft-spoken as the Vice President or the Defence Secretary. He went straight for the jugular. Miller ended up exposing the truth behind Washington's crime surge while torching the crazy communist protesters at Union Station. There are residents who live in Washington, D.C. their entire lives. Their parents lived here, their grandparents lived here, and they've lived for generations in intolerable conditions of crime and decay. He had witnessed the decay of D.C. firsthand. I moved to this city 20 years ago. There are places where I've seen graffiti untouched for 2 decades. There are homeless encampments that made it impossible for families to use public parks. There are hundreds of residents of this city who are shot in street violence every single year, making it one of the most violent cities on planet Earth. And for too long, 99% of this city has been terrorised by 1% of the city. Then he turned his fire on the protesters screeching outside. He let them have it with both barrels, cutting them right down to the core. The voices that you hear out there, those crazy communists, they have no roots, no connection to this city, no families they're raising here. They have no jobs in this city, but they're the ones advocating for the 1%, the criminals, the killers, the rapists and drug dealers. And that's when he made his vow. It was historic. He promised to completely dismantle the criminal networks strangling DC. Me, Pete and the Vice President are going to add thousands more resources to this city to get the criminals and gang members out of here. We're going to dismantle those networks and we're going to prove that a city can serve the law-abiding citizens who live there. Before he finished, Miller drove his final point home. It was laid out plainly for all of the media to hear, impossible to ignore even if they wanted to. We're not going to let the communists destroy a great American city, let alone the nation's capital. He reminded reporters that DC is a majority black city and that the people who live there had suffered without safety for generations. He said President Trump was the first to truly prioritise their protection. Miller turned back to the demonstrators, referring to them as elderly white hippies who have never been a part of DC's real community. We're going to ignore these stupid white hippies that need to all go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old, and we're going to get back to the business of protecting the American people and the citizens of Washington, D.C. It was hilarious but crushing. But it wasn't quite over. It was time for a media takedown by the VP himself. As the press conference began to wrap up, a mainstream reporter tried to interrupt the momentum, asking why troops were stationed at Union Station instead of in higher crime neighbourhoods. Mr Vice President, why are troops stationed here at Union Station instead of where the crime is statistically higher? Vance saw it coming. He shut down her narrative on the spot and reminded the media what this mission was all about. If you've ever been to Union Station in the last few years with your family, you know the crime is actually extremely high here in Union Station. He described the previous situation: drug addicts, violent vagrants, mentally ill individuals harassing families. This should be a monument to American greatness, he said. Vance said the parents like him should be able to take their kids out without fear, and said the real problem had been politicians who empowered criminals over citizens. Union Station is a great example of what's possible when you actually have the political willpower to bring law and order and common decency back to the public face of the United States of America. I thought important to highlight how great of a space this is to be, how easy it could be to actually enjoy something like Union Station if you just had politicians to stop prioritising violent criminals over the public citizens who deserve public safety in their own communities. The MSM talking point was eviscerated into thin air. It was a full-throated defence of the administration's mission, restoring law and order and basic dignity to the nation's capital one block at a time. Special thanks again to Overton News for help putting the thread together. If you want to follow the Vigilant Fox on X. And that is it. 46 minutes. Oh, it was a short one. Okay, well, let me show you this crazy, insane woman that I told you I was going to show you. Kendra Falls. I just put psychiatrist in there. I feel sorry for her psychiatrist, man. So bad. Okay. Aria Dene Jacob? I don't know how to say her name, I'm sorry. The Kendra psychiatrist saga proved even TikTok has limits when delusion becomes too obvious. For once, the algorithm got it right. Psychiatrists, lawyers and random TikTokers united to call out weaponized vulnerability in real time. At least it's proof we can still tell real victims from attention-seeking narcissists. Okay. This woman... oh, my God. Is one of the most insane people. Not this person here. It was this person here. Okay. She fell in love with her psychiatrist. It's an unhinged mix of professional victimhood and self-pity I've ever seen. 30-plus TikToks, a one-sided crush on the man that prescribed Kendra ADHD meds, and one innocent man's name dropped to millions of people online. She opens with, I fell in love with my psychiatrist and he kept me. In psychiatry, keeping you means continuing to manage your meds. He's not your boyfriend, he's not your diary, but Kendra decides to build a Netflix miniseries in her head. I'll play the first one.
I need to address 3 things. 1, people are asking me what my mental health diagnosis is. I do not have BPD. I do not have psychosis. I have ADHD, and I was experiencing extreme limerence with my psychiatrist. Limerence is a normal thing to happen to anyone who is experiencing hot and cold behavior from someone. And it happens more often in people with ADHD because we have dopamine dysregulation and rejection-sensitive dysphoria. And guess what? My psychiatrist knew that and used it to his advantage.
He did nothing wrong. I swear to God, the more she talks, right, if you actually search it on YouTube, it's pretty much got her all the TikToks of her talking about it. He does not one thing wrong. He's very professional. Okay? This is either made up, she's absolutely delusional and she's made it up in her head, or she is absolutely terrifyingly nuts, okay?
2, I accidentally said my psychiatrist's first name in one of my videos. If you clocked it, Good for you. I do not owe him anonymity. However, this is not about doxing my psychiatrist. This is about me sharing my story so other people can view predatory behavior in people in power. Okay? If anyone doxes my psychiatrist with his last name or city that he works in or clinic that he works in, your comment will be immediately deleted and you will be blocked. This is about protecting other victims, not doxing my psychiatrist. If you do some investigative work and you want to DM me about it, I'm open to that. Okay? 3, I need to take a moment. Moment taken.
She needs to take many moments, mate. She needs to take herself off the internet. I don't know.
It is so incredibly disturbing to me, the amount of people that are predator protectors in my comments, that are victim blaming me, especially the mental health practitioners.
Okay, the mental health practitioners are calling her out because she's absolutely nuts. And this is how she's responding to them, okay? This woman, I don't know, typical, like, you can see why the left have mental problems, a lot of them, okay? A lot of their women have mental problems. She thinks she's supposed to be a life coach on TikTok, and she's absolutely mental. And anyone who ever gets her as a life coach is in big trouble, I believe.
In my comments, using therapy speak to say that this situation that I was in was my fault or that I was delusional. Check yourself. You're giving me more ammunition to share my story because it just goes to show how absolutely messed up the mental health industry is and how protected people who do this kind of...
You can see it in the eyes. Seriously. Anyway, what I'll do is, hang on. If I can find the thing on YouTube that you can just watch her whole TikTok things and you can judge for yourself. Her name is Kendra. And there you go, Kendra Psychiatrist. That's all you need to look up, right? And then you need to scroll down to, where is it? The Digital Spill, is it? Jesus, this is episode 78. No, okay. This one, The Digital Spill, right? This has got her from beginning to end. And you can see how delusional this person is. Hang on a second, I'm going to put it in the comments, just in case anyone wants to watch it. I've never seen anything like it. It has to be either made up, she's either making it up, or she's severely lost the plot, man. Someone needs to help the poor young woman, because I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, I'm wondering that too, Deb. How many jabs did she get? I don't know, but it's insane. Even if you just watch like 5 minutes or 10 minutes of it, you'll be like, oh, dear God, I can see she's already insane. You can already see it, within 5 or 10 minutes. Anywho, that's just something I got stuck on the last couple of days and went, who the fuck is this person? Anyway. Yep, Shannon got the first crown, did he? Kai said, I'll try to be here. Why do people say, excuse me, after a fart? Wouldn't it be better to say, look out? Probably. And Alex is not well this week, so might not be in the chat much. God love you, Alex. I hope you feel better soon. Jason said, hello, Hev and chat. I'll be listening. Thank you, Jason. Okay. And Zena was here, and J1 was here, and Shannon said, oh, there you go, it jumped. That's not what Shannon said, but it did. How far back can I get? Oh, right back. Okay. Shannon said, what, my crown? It looks better on Alex anyway. Alex said, thank you, Zena. Yes, been some sort of horrible head cold, pressure, headaches and blocked nose. I'll be glad when it's gone. Hope you're well. Zena said, I saw a video last night that our immune system cells are actually shaped like lotus flowers. How beautiful. Interesting, Zena. Alex said, hope is well after the earthquake the other day. Zena said, it's the year of the boomerang. What do you do to another? You do to oneself. Deb said, bastard crown, Shannon. Zena said, hey, I'm number 3. Maybe it just doesn't show me on mine, because I swear I turned it off, but I can see it over on the Streamlabs. Wow. Alex said, wow, how amazing life and nature is truly beautiful, Zena. Yep. And Dealey. Shannon said, I'm the king of people's hearts. Dealey said, Zena, I'm doing all right. I hope you are too. Alex said, so sorry you have to sell everything. Prices of everything have become so insane the last few years. Yeah, they have. And like this weekend, tomorrow I've got to go and babysit for my daughter. The next day I've got someone coming out to pick up the chickens. It's like that's either Sunday or Monday, so I'm not sure which day it's going to be. So yeah, I'm just going to take the time from now, and I'll be back in like hopefully under 4 weeks, I'm hoping. Deb said qualifications are very important when you drive big trucks. Yes, they are. Zena said, someone did a U-turn in front of me the other morning heading into the sun, double line motorhome across the road, not an accident, U-turn. By the way, 100k. Really, Zena? 100k speed limit? Oh, my God. Deb said, filling potholes. Alex said, I was thinking flip-flops and probably got caught under the pedals or something. So dangerous. J1 said, terrible double fatality involving 2 trucks, Queensland, Australia. Was one of the drivers an import? Happened yesterday. Probably, J1. Honestly, probably. Deb said, I like planting trees in the potholes. Yeah, we got grass growing across our roads here. Blue Mountains City Council should be ashamed of themselves, mate. Deb said, yes, Alex, I was thinking the same. Alex said, how horrible, very sad, J1. Shannon said, potholes, that's a cone in your bong, lol. Alex said, I've seen that, Deb. Dealey said, oh, okay, so Zelensky's why prices in Illinois on everything just went up again? Oh, yeah, Dealey, yep. If you listen to our Prime Minister, that's why everything's going up. Yep. How you going, Sherry? Good to see ya. Alex said prices have gone up here too, and we just had a visit from him, Dealey. Dealey said, Alex, greed is out of control. It is, really. Alex said, lots of people are falling in love with AI. It's scary how the world is going. It is. But this lady, she's scary. She really, that is a frightening level of delusion unless she's making it up, which could be possible. She might be just making the whole thing up. I don't know. Alex said, poor woman. Deb said, I'm sure someone will marry their Alexa. Yeah, this was ChatGTP, and then she went on to another one. I can't remember what it was called, but because ChatGTP was enabling her, right? Until a certain point when ChatGPT would no longer speak to her because she was so bloody delusional, and she went to another one, another AI. And that one, you should hear it. Oh, my God, that one's even more just as delusional as she is. I'm not sure if she's just, typed the thing out and got AI to read it out loud, but that's what it sounds like because it's totally enabling her. Shannon's asking, Kai, how's Max? Dealey said the fish Max died a while ago. Yep. Shannon said Alexa doesn't know it all. Shannon said, how did he taste? Hey? Sherry said, who would want to marry or be with something that has no soul or does not have feelings of love in return? Oh, because she felt heard, listened to. I don't know. I think the lady's got a problem, man. I'm telling you. She's got a big problem. Not a little one, a big one. Zena said, we have given life to the beast by making AI. It seemed like it's a person. Oh, yes. Deb said, yes, that's what I thought, Max D. Lee. Xena said, Sherry, the world is full of tricksters and deceivers. No one walks down the aisle expecting a divorce, I guess. Alex said, yes, they won't be able to take any of it with them either, D. Lee. Deb said, how do you do it, Shannon? Number one. Shannon said, Kang again, the people have spoken. D. Lee said, Siri, Alexa, ChatGTP, AI, aren't they really all the same talking artificial intelligence? Well, it depends who programs them. But yeah, they're very left-leaning. They're very woke, right? Yeah, artificial intelligence. I don't know. I don't trust it. It's not even right half the time. So how are people relying on this shit? And Deb said, Shannon's now king. Dealey said, King Shannon. Deb said, yes, people can have something to talk to. Yeah, I think that's all it is. They talk too much and they're really lonely and they really want someone to talk to. Alex said, AI is becoming a standard in people's homes, all being spied on in real time, Dealey. Shannon says, because now me and Alexa are dating. Yeah, I won't even turn out any of my... No. I don't have any Google Homes or Alexas or anything. I turn the one off on my... If I don't want it on. It's probably still listening to me, but I don't want it on. Yeah. Xena said there are two AIs. One is artificial intelligence. The other is ancient intelligence. Who are we trusting in? Certainly not artificial intelligence. Deb said, so it's all rigged and Shannon found it. Xena said, I talked to trees in the air, my choice. I've never spoken to AI unless it was over the phone for business. Xena said, never ask Siri anything. Don't dare. Don't care what she thinks. Yes, exactly. How's that? Dealey said, Alex, my youngest daughter has their whole home set up. I hate it, but they love it. Alexa, turn light on, turn light off, set timer, play music. Oh, my God. Yeah, no, I'd rather like the old-timers, like the old-timers, in the way that you turn the knob on the timer. It only gives you an hour, so if you're making bread or something and you've got to let it rise for 2 hours, you got to do it twice. The old ones, you click them right over. Those timers, yes, I use them old school. Xena said IT processes, I should say. Alex said, I know what you mean. I've been single for over 5 years now after getting out of abusive relationships, Sherry. Xena said they should have called Alexa Rosie like in the Jetsons. Deb said, I'll let Tim Air know we have a new king, Shannon. Shannon said, hail to the king. Baby, wait, that's Duke Nukem's catchphrase. Dealey said, I don't like it when Alexa gives me obvious sass. Xena said, who cares about the Nazis anyway? Hitler was never prosecuted. What makes people think our Poles will get what they deserve? None of the elite ever do. Alex said they probably already have. I remember hearing about a TV show years ago where two people were marrying bridges, their cars, the Eiffel Tower, and other inanimate objects. Yeah, I remember someone getting married to the ocean, which was I don't know how that works out. But anyway, hey, to each their own, I suppose. But I think they need make asylums great again. Deb said, hail the king, Shannon. Deb said, man married his Harley Davidson, Alex. Yes. Shannon said, Alex is number 2. Who does number 2 work for? Deb said, yes, some was with you from the beginning. Xena said, Deb, you stole my crown. Fly by, Stu, how you going? Who's the sheep? Bah. Shannon said, Yosef, you idiot, lol. Xena said, remember the babies being ripped out of the incubators in Iraq BS? Yes, I do remember that. She was an actress, like the prince's daughter or something. Xena said, isn't it illegal to climb the harbour bridge? Apparently. No, they were walking across it. Alex said, that would drive me mad. I couldn't stand having an Alexa or any sort of those hubs in my house. I know they end up going off on their own too. Would freak me out. Imagine that. Imagine if you talk in your sleep and your Alexa starts up in the middle of the night thinking you said the name and speaks back to you. I'd be going, who the fuck's in my house? Who's that? Who's that? I don't want anyone talking while I'm asleep, mate. Right? Because then I know. Shannon said, I'm no sheep. Apparently I'm on and off king. Shannon said, Alexa always listens, spy device. Alex said, I cover all my cameras too. I've been thinking about getting rid of most of my technology, but they're getting rid of 2G so people can't use dumb phones anymore. Dealey, I wonder why that is, eh? Yeah, exactly. Deb said you can take tours of the Harbour Bridge. Sorry, yeah, not hours off the Harbour Bridge. Tours. Shannon said, investing cans and string, Alex. Shannon said, have you seen the video of the little babies freaking out when they hear the words Google or Alexa? Yes, I have. They are terrified and drop to the floor and hide. They do. Go and watch that on YouTube. Babies terrified of Google or Alexa. They have a visceral reaction to it. They don't like it. Deb said, do you still have 2G? We only have 4G. No, I think we still had 3G. I don't even know anymore. Zena said, Deb, yes, but you can't climb up there on your own with an ISIS flag. Shannon said, rooting for Putin. Alex said, yeah, I know, I don't like them and never have, Alexa. I remember my last time my credit card ran out. Amazon knew my card details before I even opened the letter. Flyby said, Alex, I'll leave the phone home alone whenever I go out. I hate nosy bastards. Selena, how you going, Selena? Good to see ya. Kazari and Jews, look them up. Yes, I was talking about him yesterday, yeah, on the video. Shannon said, all hail, Alex. Dealey said, Alex, yes, freaked me out the first time using GPS and went off sightseeing after telling me to turn around 4 times. It sighed loudly in frustration. I slammed my brakes. Oh, my God. Deb said, yes, sorry, Zena, yes, you are right, so it would be illegal. There you go. Shannon said, I got down on my knee for Alex. She smirked and said, while you're down. Oh, Alex. Shannon. Sorry, Alex, that was for Shannon. Shannon. Leave poor Alex alone. Zena said, I had the thrill of dressing in black and climbing up the red light on the bridge in 1983. It was so ninja but reckless, almost got hit by a train. Oh, no, Zena. Flyby Stu said, Dealey, g'day. Alex said, yeah, good old-fashioned cans and wire settings. Might need quite a lot of wire to get across the big ponds, though. Shannon's. I love them, though. So much fun back in the day. Yeah, awesome, Shannon. God love you. Shannon said, call me Shannon, formerly known as King. Oh, Conchega Yowie, how you going? Deb said, knowing your history is key to the evil in this world. Conchega said, Shannon, lucky bugger. Shannon said, KY, you old salty seaman. Zena said, where are all the warmongers now? Kind of quiet, aren't they? Yes. Deb said, new queen, Alex. Alex said, people have lost their minds. That TV show was gold about marrying stuff and is far more mad now. Oh, it was old, not gold. Sorry. Yeah, old. Yeah, I don't know. People are weird. They need help. Just when you think you're mad, go and watch this woman, right? The one I put the link to in there. You won't think you're mad anymore. Zena said, yes, Alex, they've normalised self-mutilation. Alex said, you're a funny bugger, Shannon. Zena said, doesn't he keep getting re-elected like for 20 years? People must like him, unlike American politics. No one likes our polls. Deb said, I'll have to get an Alexa to have someone to talk to as well. Polly's, yeah. Deb said, does someone explain to me how the Jews think they're not white? Yeah, exactly. Santa said, not a line in the sand, a barrier of force. Alex said, it's mainly 4 5G now, but still a few 2G phones. But they want to get rid of completely and digitalise all landlines too. Yeah, that sucks when they do that, man. Because then you can't get a phone that just plugs into your landline that used to work even if your electricity went off. Now, your modem goes off, your phone's plugged into that, and when electricity goes off, it all goes. Yeah, Deb said, I don't think they have election in Russia. Oh, I don't know. Xander said, Deb, they are Jews. Alex said, yeah, I sometimes leave my phone at home unless I'm going far from home, and that's only in case I break down. Xander said, the original pirates, wanderers, yeah. See, it's I'm not on the Jewish side or the Palestinian side, right? Because I think both have corruption, okay? So we're just going to have to let it play out and see what happens. Deb said it's kind of Jewish as separate entity. That's the evil problem. Yeah, because there's the Talmud and then there's the Torah. The ones who follow the Torah, I believe, are the right ones, and the ones who follow the Talmud is like satanic. Alex said it sighed at you, makes you wonder if that was an actual person speaking through your GPS, Dealey. Zena said, Deb, they do, Deb, democratically held and run. Dealey said, that's why I slammed on the brakes. It freaked me out. I thought it was a person. So, I heard an AI sigh and went, what the fuck? Why are you getting it to sigh? Anyway, Senator said, Alex, they've been seeking anybody out there for so long they finally made contact, but yeah, these things don't have bodies. Senator said, that's why they cannot manifest in solid form. They have transmuted themselves into our world via ODE, or Ode. Shannon said, Alex, we both have same XP, you're just king alphabetically. Alex said, I know, it makes me so sad that so many people are ruining their bodies and can't go back if they change their minds, Zena. Shannon said, rigged must be using Dominion voting machines. I think it is, Shannon. I don't think people are voting him back in. I think it's with a lot of help. Zena said, it's like how the robot Lost in Space plugs into Will Robinson. It's electrical exchange. Oh, Alex said, broken system, Shannon. Zena said, they're all electrical entities. Zena said, this AI is actually the alien invasion. Ah, there you go, alien invasion. Zena said, gonna shut up now. No, that makes sense, Zena. Shannon said, Bar, who am I kidding? I love worshipping you. Flyby said, are we going to see the back of Labour? I wish. Alex said, I've always thought they are maybe demons out there trying to get back in, Zena. Dealey said, Zena. Ooh, AI, alien invasion. Yeah, of the AI kind. Deb said, yes, they're going to play the alien card. Alex said, I'll drag people down with them while they still have time, although it's rapidly running out on them, Zena. Shannon said, we fight not flesh and blood, but principalities, yes. Deb said, Project Bluebeam, that's what all the sky springs about, so they've got something to bounce the beam off. All the spraying, yeah. Dealey said, Zena, now, wow, that just made sense. Deb said, another controlling propaganda. Shannon said, that's what she said. Alex said, yes, I think they think we're stupid. I'll never believe them again, Deb. Deb said, I learnt about the alien invasion when I learned about the Jabberwocky back in the 80s. Deb said, well, it's good to see all this shit finally coming out. It's been a very long time waiting for all of it, yes. Shannon said, Jabberwocky is a dance crew. Deb said, I'm hungry, Shannon, what you making? Shannon said, nothing, I had ham and cheese toasties earlier. Stu said, funny thing is if you need psychiatric help to start with, it sort of opens the door for suspicion of authenticity. Laugh my friggin' ass off. How you going, Stu? Shannon said, needs less owl-like glasses. Alex said, oh, I thought her psychiatrist was the AI. Well, she's got a therapist, a psychiatrist, and the AI. You got to go listen to it. I can't even put it into words. It's that crazy. Like I just can't even, you know. You got to go and watch it. It is insane. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God. Like actually I was cooking while I was watching it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this person needs help, man. This is like, yeah, okay. Stu said, who? Just search Kendra psychiatrist, okay? You'll come across it. Senator said, I will give you one more hint as to how they did it. Fibre optic cable demon are electrical entities. They don't have bodies. That makes sense. Deb said, major delusion as well. Stu said, great to catch you guys, Alex. Oh, there's the link, that link. Go and click that link and you'll see something crazy. Alex said, I heard something about, I'd love to get Timmy's reaction to this. I would love to get Timmy, we might do a Rumble watch with me of this insane woman and get Timmy's reaction. That would be interesting. Alex said, I heard something about that the other day. I can't remember where. Very interesting, Zena. Yeah, Deb said, how many jabs did this young lady get? Shannon said, nope, don't think I'll waste any time on her. Shannon, save your brain. Seriously? Where was I up to? Oh, Chow Conchega. Okay. Where am I? There, around here. Alex said, you too, I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter, but I'm glad she's back with you now. Stu Santa said, Alex, it's all starting to come together, but people having love affair with demons. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. Santa said, you can't say anything negative about someone's love interest. Trouble is, AI is whoring itself around the whole human race. It's a whore. Or hua. A hua. I like that. I like that pronunciation of it. Shannon said, don't make eye contact, slowly back away. Stu said, thanks, Alex. Resilience. She only called me. I don't even know where she's living yet. Dealey said, true, Shannon. Deb's laughing at Shannon. Shannon said, it jumped. See, I did say it after all. Alex said, this chat always helps me feel better. Stu said, unfucking believable. Deb said, life coach, what a bloody joke, mental illness at its best. And you got to go listen to that video, because if you you look at that and then you think to yourself, that's a life coach. Oh fuck, we're in trouble. I don't even think she is qualified, but she does have the therapy speak. That. I don't know. It's very weird. I just can't even, mate. Seriously. Needs locking up, needs a lot of help, mate. Is probably a danger. I'd be worried about the psychiatrist. If I was that psychiatrist, if that is real, and I was that psychiatrist, I'd be getting bodyguards, mate. That's how insane this is. He was very professional. He did nothing. She took everything as a come on. It is insane. Yeah. Exactly, Deb. Deb said, what would Timmy give this one? Oh, I don't know. Probably time away for a while. I don't know. Dealey said, glad we can make you feel better, Alex. Alex said, sending love and prayers, and hopefully she'll let you know soon. She spoke to you and let you know. Stu said, hope they're not going to eat the chickens, Hev. No. The person who is taking them has chickens already. He loves the eggs, okay? So it's good. No one's eating them. Deb said, I want a vomit just listening to a few seconds over. Oh, yeah. Shannon said, king of farts and occasionally shut. Oh, God. Thank you, Shannon. Deb said, I feel sorry for her therapist and her psychiatrist and the AI. The AI is probably having a cigarette after talking to her, mate. Going, shit, that was intense. It's worse than Play Misty for me, Zena. Oh, my God, it's worse. You got to watch it. Zena said, Alex, where can I donate other than StreamYard? My PayPal not working. Oh, God love you, Zena. There's Stripe. I don't know. It's on the same link as pinned at the top. It's the second link. I don't know. But if your PayPal's not working on it, I don't know. Shannon said, I'm struggling to keep up with my chickens. 7 eggs this morning. Oh, wow, good. Alex said, yes, it's scary. I use it sometimes, but could happily never use it again. In fact, it just seems to be another thing dumbing people down. People can't think for themselves anymore, Zena. Yeah, I honestly don't like it. I don't like AI videos. I don't like AI. And I certainly wouldn't use it to talk to. Holy shit. Not to rely on for psychological freaking advice either. Wow. Deb said, go Shannon, chicken. Shannon said, I feel sorry for anyone trapped in an elevator with me with a captive audience. Oh, no. Shannon. Alex said, nice omelette, Shannon. Stu said, I'm feeling a shift. I think we've moved into third gear. Yep. Zena said, I watch everything happen when I take time off, because that's when everything normally happens, is when I'm off and I'm going, oh, shit, no. Santa said, I hate it when my son challenges me on something and pulls out his phone and consults, gets a different result and then argues with me on my faulty knowledge. I hate it. Alex said, few sponge cakes, you'll get through them in no time, Shannon. Yep, ciao, Conchega. Stu said, stay salty, big fella. Alex said, take care, God bless, see you soon, Conchega. Zena said, we all know the programmers are narcissistic psychopaths. Yes, I feel like they are. Shannon said, I like sponge. Do you know why I like sponge? My doctor says I can't have anything sharp. Shannon says, Alexa's sales quote, if you didn't get it. Alexi, sales. Deb said, yes, yell at some to do it for you. Alexa can't make coffee here. Alex said, I would just have to walk away. Hopefully one day he will realise, especially if all the power goes out. Apparently it's supposed to be a blackout from the 17th to 20th of September. Zena said, Alex, it's a generational thing, the generation that didn't consult books. I actually know of a person who uses ChatGPT to help them be a manager. Oh, shit. I don't think that's a good idea. Alex said, he used to be in the young ones, didn't he, Alexi Sale? Yes, he did. J1 said, remember during COVID, Alexa was making funeral arrangements for its owners? Alex said, I know, such a shame, Zena. Deb said, I listen to sleep stories. Shanna said, that's the one, Dr. Martin's boots. Of the world, Dr. Martin's boots. I remember that. Alex said, yes, I've seen that with the children scared of AI, maybe some sort of frequency they can sense. Stu said, Deb, Mr. Ballin puts me to sleep in 5 minutes. Yes, he does. He's good. He's a person, okay? Really good, especially if you've heard the stories before, because you'll be asleep in less than 5 minutes. Sana said, Alex, it's almost like they are unable to challenge the information. It's dangerous. Deb said, yes, Stu. Alex said, that's awful. I feel sorry for all those that complied, J1. Shannon said, funny, after bawling for 5 minutes, I fall asleep. Oh, dear. And Alex is laughing. Shannon said, victory is mine. Maybe I should be king again, lol. Stu said, that's nice shift for you, Shannon. Deb said, you'll repeat history if you don't know your history. Yep. Deb said, I bet Timmy doesn't need to watch her. He deals with it every day. Oh, well, poor Timmy. Wow. I feel sorry for psychiatrists then if that's what they deal with. I know not everyone's like that, but, wow is all I can say, wow. Stu said some of the history, Deb, would be really great to revisit. Some, well, yeah, no. Alex said, absolutely. They've already tried to do a type of book burning, rewriting books they thought was woke, etc. We all see how history's being rewritten now to suit the narrative, Deb. Deb said, we are electric. Shannon said, I think I'll try number 3, a.k.a. the court jester. Zena said, they've got to get rid of all the old people who might remember how things are supposed to be. They can't get rid of Gen X who knows how things are supposed to be. They're trying, though. Shannon said, Deb, now you're to shit, a.k.a. number 2. Stu said, there is 19 very happy little trout today. I swung past the trout farm, got a few to release in the lovely Rubicon River. I hope some child has fun catching one. Oh, cool. Where am I? Here somewhere. Shannon said, curse of the alphabet strikes again. Deb said, Shannon is king one of the jesters. Shannon said, good point, Debs. Zena said, Shannon, how did I beat you? Alex said, I have the link to check out for later or tomorrow, Hev. Stu said, who, the owl in the tree asked? Alex said, yeah, that would be good, Rumble, to watch it break it down, Hev. Yeah, but it has to be like in a month's time because I have to have a few weeks off to get all this done. Deb said, I told Timo Shannon is king. Timo could possibly be lurking. God love him. That's all I can say after watching this woman. I don't know. Oh, these poor people. I feel sorry for them. Deb said, no, problem is that so many people are absolutely losing their mind anyway in this weird world. Yes, they are. Shannon said, Alexa is unforgiving and vengeful AI. Deb said she has a lot of time with a therapist and they couldn't help her. She was just too crazy. Yeah, well, then she says that, like, everyone's in love with her and her therapist is begging for her to go back, and she shows a perfectly normal email from when you when you all of a sudden tell your therapist you're not coming back and they go, oh, we haven't finished, you need help. Would you please come back for one more visit, thing, And she says that's begging. And it's very weird. You just got to watch it. I can't even explain it. But I think she's just too crazy. Yeah, Deb. Shannon said, some guy said about carp in the Murray River, lol. Alex said, yeah, that's not fair. She doxed him if he did nothing. Yeah, she did. She said his name. People went looking. They found him, allegedly. He's a real doctor. He's a Pakistani doctor, right? Don't know why that's important, but she keeps saying that. And also that her therapist is a 74-year-old PhD lady. I don't know. It's very weird. Yeah, Zena said, it sounds a bit like Play Misty for me. Yeah, it's worse than that. I believe. Shannon said, what the fuck, 4th to 1st? Alex said, I'm glad I made it today. I'm going to miss you all over the next few weeks. I know, I will too. Shannon said, no, I just got to hold on to the end. We're nearly at the end there. Deb said, thank God for our Shannon. Randy, how you going? Good to see ya. Zena says, start flapping your trap then, Shannon. Zena said, oh, I didn't see the stripe. I will go there. Oh, God love you. Shannon said, hey, Randy, have you seen the Kawasaki Hev Ninja? Even I haven't seen that. What? Hey? Deb said, proof we are living in the Twilight Zone. Alex said, I would have suggested Streamlabs. Does Streamlabs use PayPal then? That's the one that shows on screen with the robot voice. Seen it? Yeah. Or buy me a coffee, yeah. Alex said, I've not watched Mr. Ball in ages. He's a good storyteller. Some are really scary, though. Zena said, Hev, just put something through for you. You might need a little extra with everything on your plate. Cheers, love. I love and appreciate all you do, Zena. Oh, God love you, Zena. I do appreciate that, and every little bit does help, believe me. I will probably need something, yeah. Some help in the next couple of weeks. Until I start selling things, you know. It's definitely going to be... Because I still have to pay my rent. I still have to do everything, so... where am I? So thank you very much, Zena. You're a legend. God love you. Shannon said, I'm up and down like a pair of kangaroos in mating season. Oh, no. Deb said, the king. Shannon's become the king. Shannon said, or Spanish honeymooners. Okay. Stu said, off like Bridges 90, Lil. What? Deb said, I feel sorry for the damn therapists. Shannon said, I'm way ahead. I see why Dems hold off on tabulating the votes. Stu said, Deb, they chose it. Alex said, you'll have to create a playlist of your old episodes and leave it running as a marathon or something. Pick the ones that have already played and you know you're okay with YouTube. Well, I can't even do that because after this today, I have to dismantle the computer so I can take photos of the desk and sell it. So I can't even do that. Deb said, we definitely need Timo's help on that one then, Hev. Flyby said, just remember, if you can't swim, dead bodies float, lol. Alex said, just put that it's a marathon in the description so people know, then people can maybe join the live chat or something while you're away. I can't do it, God love you. I can't do it. Zena said, have I just put something through on Stripe? Oh, God love you. Black Hat, good to see ya. Shannon said, down here we all float. You could float too. Deb said, yes, a Stripe, Zena, God love you. Shannon said, lies, Hev. I sent you pictures of the Hev Ninja thing. I probably haven't looked at it. Shannon. Shannon said, no, pipped at the post. And Zena said, oh, yeah, Deb, imagine having to listen to that all day and try and make sense of it. Randy said, no electric bike for me. J1 said, Stripe runs on XRP. And that is the end, guys, for a couple of weeks. I shall see you in a couple of weeks. I'm sorry I have to do this, but it must be done. I have to, yeah, I might do a video of me putting up the blow-up tent, okay? Because I might be doing it this Saturday. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how much time I've got because I've got to drive them around all over the place, birthday parties and what else have we got? Basketball games and stuff like that. So, yeah. We'll see what happens. Okay, guys, I will see you in a couple of weeks. Much love, guys, and I'm sorry to do this, but I have to. Have a good one, guys. Bye.